Curated by Kohl's latest collection is now available in select stores and at Kohls.com. For a limited time, shop unexpected new favorites like reusable drinkware from Corksicle and fun arts and crafts from UV. Warmy's heatable plush toys are perfect for little ones. Homesick handcrafted candles are a great gift to make anyone feel at home. And who doesn't love sweet treats from Candy Club? Shop Curated by Kohl's for these digital need-to-know brands and more. Tap the banner now or visit Kohls.com.
As much as life has changed over the last year, you're still pretty busy. So consider convenient COVID-19 testing from Quest. Get the same tests hospitals use without a doctor visit. Simply order online, select from drive-through or at-home options, and get results sent securely to your phone or computer. It's a great fit for your busy life. With over 25 million COVID-19 tests processed, you can count on Quest. So order your test today at questcovid19.com.
Thank you for visiting ChristopherMedia.net. Check out the Ugly Club podcast, Tuesdays on iTunes and ChristopherMedia.net. Christopher Media, let's make some noise.
Okay, now I'm going to start it for reals.
Christopher Media, let's make some noise. From Asthmacore Studios near Detroit, Michigan, it's Unregimented.
Gangsters, what's up, guys?
117 of these bitches.
117. Hello.
Quite a lot of free entertainment for your enjoyment.
And people are starting to care, you know. Downloads creep up every week. We appreciate it. So thank you to everybody that's downloaded, listened, followed, shared, retweeted, all that fun social media shit. I'm Chris.
I'm Aaron.
I'm Rich.
What's going on, fellas?
Not a whole lot besides just, like I said, we were talking about, well, let's see, we have a Tennessee theater shooting. We have a gentleman who doesn't understand what FUBU means.
Yeah.
I figured maybe we could riff on that. we could get a couple good jokes out of that one at least. And then, I'm sure you've heard about this, Chris. The players Chip Kelly is traded away. Have you heard what they're saying? Chip Kelly from the Eagles.
What, recently or just in the off season? All of the crazy moves he has made.
Set the scene a little bit. I don't know who these people are.
Okay.
Like the Eagles are
a football
not
team.
Don Henley,
American
right? Okay,
football.
Football.
Yes, from city of brotherly love, the city that not only pelted Santa with rocks during a football game and has a courtroom built into the stadium so people who are drunk and disorderly can be charged and plead right there on the spot.
I've heard of that.
But they also
they whip batteries at people.
Yeah, they do that. They also tore up Hitchbot, the robot that was trying to hitchhike across the country. Some dude in a Eagles jersey picked him up on the side of the road. They just beat the shit out of him, and it's caught on video somewhere. That's fucking hilarious.
Is this the city that they modeled Springfield after?
I know, right?
Get this town go one day without a riot.
But so Chip Kelly, former Oregon coach, went to the Eagles and started making some interesting trades in the offseason, trading away players who most people would consider untouchable.
Yeah, he's either going to be
like Don Henley.
He's either going to look like a genius in 8 months, or he's going to be run out of Philly like real quick.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to be like the ending scene of Frankenstein.
Yeah, no, right?
Torches and shit and pitchforks, literally, because that's how Philly is.
Well, what's the deal with these guys that he's trading away, though?
Well, he traded LaShawn McCoy. I don't know if you remember last year. He was the gentleman who left a 32-cent tip or something for a waiter.
Yeah, to make a point.
Yeah, exactly.
What, that has to happen sometimes.
Well, no. I mean, yeah, we talked about it.
We were just trying to reference where you would know the name from, Aaron.
Yeah, okay.
He's traded away, like I said, players that would be considered untouchable, and basically,
what does that mean though? Untouchable, like he's getting rid of good players.
Yeah, but he got DeMarco Murray,
and he wants to extend Sam Bradford, a quarterback who hasn't proven that he's anything but a backup, basically.
And he picked up Tim Tebow.
Yeah, Jesus Christ Tebow. Yeah, he picked him up.
Hasn't played in 2 years. Was an analyst on ESPN. Let's bring him into Philly.
Well, the whole thing is a couple of players that have been traded away, and other players around the NFL have made a comment where they've walked up to the line and flirted with it, but they haven't said, we think this is racist because he has a problem of gentlemen of what did I think it was a anonymous source said he has a problem with people from a certain culture. which is, I guess, a polite way of saying
The hood?
Yeah, pretty much.
I said last time I checked, DeMarco Murray's black.
Yeah, exactly right. But yeah, I'm guessing that it's more of they're trying to claim that he doesn't want the quote unquote hood people on his team, and I'm like, NFL's a multi-billion-dollar business. It's just win. They have
exactly
right. I'm not saying it's not like he can't be racist. That's still possible. But if he lets if he is racist and he lets that influence his decisions in his work, he would have a failing team, right?
Exactly.
Yes.
And there's a place in coaching, high school, college, especially the lower tier college football teams, where you have coaches who you have to keep a certain grade point average, you have to keep a certain attendance.
Yeah.
They're trying to build character, but those aren't the football factories. Those aren't Ohio State, Florida State, et cetera, where it's like you can pretty much do anything and still be on the team.
The colleges that are making the football players have no standards then.
Yeah. For the most part.
And how is it racist if he just wants people with a certain attitude on its team? Like, doesn't that happen every day when people get hired for jobs?
Wait a minute, are you inferring, or did he say that? I mean, because just use the word
like
attitude.
They stepped up to the line, but they haven't said it so much.
But they're talking about attitude, like the guys that they got rid of, regardless of the fact that they were good players, they didn't have the right attitude for the team, was what he was saying.
Yeah, and like I said, it was stressed. Players from a certain background, a certain culture is what it was said. Players from a certain culture. I'm just like, wow, that's kind of like the new code word, like calling someone a thug, like when Fox News is like, look at these thugs, and they show like, black people having a protest, and then they show white people rioting in Vancouver after their team loses, and they're like, look at these protesters, look at these fans, blah, 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 and it's like, it's kind of that we're calling you a racist, but you can't really pin us down and say we said you're a racist type thing. What did Jay say a couple months back, that accusing someone of being racist is pretty much like, at least a white male, is like the most I'm drawing a blank. I can't remember exactly what he said verbatim, but basically it's one of the most offensive things you can say, because it's like calling someone crazy. Once someone's accepted that someone's crazy, or they've accepted that you're a racist, they just dismiss everything you say out of hand and even listen to the point you're trying to make.
Yeah, well, it's easy. It's the easiest way out too. It's how do I win this argument? Play this card. I have nothing left. So now you've just completely invalidated the other person's opinions because you don't have anything decent to say left. So that's how you win the argument. Am I wrong on this, or?
Well, I agree, and I'm getting to the point where I have some friends who go, if you say the term race card, you're racist. And I'm like, whoa, time out, wait a minute. There's been times
if you say
that's
to
a very
somebody,
apt way to describe what's being said. I mean, let's go back a couple decades and look at the Tawana Brawley situation, where she claimed she was raped and everybody jumped on the bandwagon. Even Spike Lee had a little scene in Do the Right Thing where someone had spray painted on a wall, Tawana didn't lie. And it turns out she was flat out lying about being raped. And I think the thing was she said she was raped by a bunch of white guys or something. I can't remember it off the top of my head. And I'm just like, yo, Sharpton was playing the race card on that one. He totally was. I mean, it'd be no different than the mother my kids were kidnapped, and it was two black men who carjacked me and took my kids away.
Well, yeah, but of course, anytime somebody makes up an assailant, it's going to usually be a minority.
Yeah, and that's playing the race card. That's I mean, not in the way that.
Yeah, but no.
Someone says, but I mean, that's playing the race card. Two unidentified black males.
I don't know if that's the.
Oh, those guys again?
That's not that close to the traditional definition we use, though. The race card. The race card is like, I got fired because I was black.
I understand, but to me, it's a two-edged, double-edged sword.
And you look in their file; they've got 100 disciplinary things. Oh yeah, it's because you were black. You were late 10 times because you were black. You were a poor performer because you were black.
Man, I've worked a job where someone was caught on the stem fast diet in the bathroom. I mean, flat out tried to hide the pipe they were smoking rock out of. We're the last person in the bathroom, and then a manager went in, found the pipe, still hot to the touch.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you fired me because I was black. No, you fired because you're smoking crack in the bathroom.
No, this was a woman, and she was like, "I'm being fired because you're sexist." And it was a female manager who sent her home and said, "Look, you're fucking smoking crack on the job. You can't go home. What's wrong with you? You can't fucking do that. Yeah. Are you crazy? What do you think you are, the mayor of Washington D.C.? You ain't Marion Barry. Get the fuck out of here." You know, you can't smoke crack and keep your job or get it back. Not here.
Yeah, only if you're in politics. Come on now, let's be real.
You can be mayor of Toronto.
I know. You can be mayor of D.C. twice.
So it's just, to me, it's
apparently
getting back to the actual subject we started talking about.
Well, yeah, let me read this quote, though, real quick, because this is from former Eagles defensive back Brandon Boykin. Is this the guy that you were talking about?
Sure, one of them, sure, yeah.
Because he told a Philadelphia Reporter this week that Kelly is uncomfortable around grown men of our culture.
There we go. That's what it is. I forgot the whole I'm a grown-ass man thing. I'm 40.
Okay, can we bring this up? And whatever, people can label me whatever they want. But why is it so important to keep it real? Like, especially if you've worked, like, your whole life to get out of that shitty situation, that shitty neighborhood, your shitty shitty surroundings. Why is it so important to guys like that to still stay in that mindset? Like, you fought your whole life to get out of there, but you still want to stay in it mentally. What the fuck?
I have no idea. It doesn't make sense. I get, hey, well, this is my neighborhood. This is where I came from. I want to help build it up. But really, there's most people who are like, yeah, I'm staying in my hood I grew up in. They're not really building it up. It's some sort of street cred type thing that's really ultimately bullshit.
You think like Snoop still lives in Long Beach? You think Dre still lives in Compton? No. You think they still do gangster shit? No.
And I mean, there's a song on one of Ice-T's album called "Escape from the Killing Fields," and the whole song's about why the fuck would we work so hard to make so much money to get out of a bad situation just to stay there and risk getting killed, robbed, extorted, whatever. Get the fuck out. Abandon them shits. Let them fucking rot and go live somewhere where you can have a decent fucking life.
But I think this opens the door to a greater conversation of how the culture constantly judges itself. If you have any type of success, if you have any type of success and white people are involved, I mean, the UT comes out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I just think that's fucked up. Like, why? Like, you want to rise above? Shouldn't you be like trying to break these stereotypes, these prejudices people have, trying to change people's minds rather than.
What does this have to do with what he said?
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I don't understand what any of this has to do with what this guy Brandon Boykin said. That he's
grown men of our culture.
He's saying that the coach was uncomfortable around grown men of our culture, right?
Yeah, he didn't use race, he used culture. That's
the same thing. I mean, he's calling the guy a racist. I'm trying to clarify this because, I mean, maybe you guys have heard stuff that I don't follow sports, so I don't know any of these players. Maybe you guys know something that I don't, but you seem to be making a lot of assumptions based off of this one quote.
Well, I mean, the quote's pretty. I mean, it seems pretty. Pardon the term, black and white. What he's saying.
If he's observing that his coach is racist, whether he's right or not, what does that have to do with his mindset? Like,
whose mindset?
Well, that's where you immediately went to when we were talking about. I read the quote and you said this is an example of this mindset that people can't get out of. They get out of their situation, but they still
word culture. We know what you're saying, buddy. Like,
you're drawing a correlation between him saying
he's not trying to
this
use
culture and the idea of you. Well, you got to, like you said, you got to keep it real. You can't fucking.
What does using the word culture have to do with keeping it real or not?
Chris, you want to take that one?
I'm honestly asking. I have no idea. I know we're talking about black culture.
Maybe the hood mentality.
How is that hood mentality? He's trying to find softer language to call his boss a racist.
Because culture and race aren't the same thing.
Well, I understand that they're not. They are used interchangeably a lot, and I think most people reading this understands what he's talking about when he says culture. He's talking about black people.
No, I think he's talking about a certain what do you call it? Oh shit! I'm sorry, I'm blanking on you.
You think he's talking about a demographic? That he's just uncomfortable with guys that
no
were
different than
that are hood.
If a country singer come out and was like, I'm going to stay in my little neck of the woods, blah 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 blah. Okay, so you're going to stay in the middle of nowhere.
That's not the problem. Wiggers, go ahead and say it.
No, I'm talking about these
white guys who grow up in the
motherfuckers who get married in like Wrangler jeans and shit and have cowboy hats and they've never even fucking rode a horse. And they put out on a faux country twang in their fucking voice, throw a steel guitar on a pop song that could be sung by Taylor fucking Swift or anybody fucking else in the pop.
She's
top
country
40.
too, isn't she?
Nah, she ain't country no more. She never really was country. That's like Kid Rock's country. No, he's not. He's just doing whatever fucking sells. I mean, come on, dude. But yeah, okay, Kid Rock, perfect example. I'm gonna go buy me some land and blah blah blah. Motherfucker, you come from an upper middle class neighborhood. Get the fuck out of here. You know, first you tried to play the whole I'm a white rapper thing. That went over like a fucking turd in a punch bowl. Then you tried to do the rap rock thing, and he admitted in a Rolling Stone interview, the only reason I did that is because it was selling, and I was like, well, fuck, I can do that and make money. Then when he saw the ship was sailing on that, and he was fast fucking, being the captain of that ship, he jumped to the country ship by doing that song with Sheryl Crow, and he's been on that shit ever since.
Hey, he did what he did to keep making music as his career and not having to go and be Bob the car salesman.
Exactly. And he's talking about, well, I'm going to keep my culture real. What culture do you have, dude? He's playing up a stereotype, right? And that's his idea of keeping it real. Now, you get these country people that do the same thing as the rappers do, I'm going to stay in my hood. I'm going to stay in my hood. No, you're not. Get the fuck out of here. Very few fucking people who make excessive amounts of money stay where the fuck they came from. Seriously. People hit the lottery and you think they're moving to the fucking, or staying in the neighborhood they're in if they live in fucking Shacktown in Westland. No, they're getting the fuck out of there. West Bloomfield, here I come. I'm going to get in the fucking cement pond and go for a fucking dip with Ellie Mae. Get the fuck out of here. And that's where, I don't know if that's what Chris was trying to get across. That's what I think this boy dude was saying. And I mean,
I'm really not...
there's a lot of assumptions, but there's a lot of implications also. And this is what is so fucking frustrating about this type of fucking doublespeak that we've used. You guys seem to be pulling some of this stuff out of thin air. That we've made people use these days instead of just speaking plainly. We've forced them into almost Orwellian type doublespeak.
Well, I have LaShawn McCoy's quote.
This is another former Eagle?
Yes, former Eagles running back. Says the relationship was never really great. I feel like I always respected him as a coach. I think that's the way he runs his team. He wants the full control. You see how fast he got rid of all the good players, especially all the good black players. He got rid of them the fastest. That's the truth. There's a reason. It's hard to explain with him, but there's a reason he got rid of all the black players. The good ones, like that. If the Eagles team photo is all white guys, I'll buy it. But it's not gonna be. Perhaps you weren't making enough plays. LaShawn McCoy was supposed to have a great year last year. He did not have a great year. Kiko Alonso had a shit season last year, so he got traded. That's what happens in the NFL. So now you're telling me you can't have a poor season and get traded without playing the race card?
All right, so the guy gets traded off.
The guy that replaced him, LaShawn McCoy, broke all kinds of records last year. He was the best running back in the NFL last year. To me, it sounds like a little bit of sour grapes on LaShawn's part, but
no doubt.
I digress.
It could be.
I don't know where else. I don't know anything about this guy's background.
So hung up on people coming from a certain culture that he's willing to just fucking sabotage his own team and tank a couple seasons to make a point.
Yeah, exactly. Plus, if you don't like black guys, you're in the wrong league, son.
I don't buy it, and I don't buy that he's going to sit with the owner and people in the front office and go, well, I just don't want people from a certain culture around and blah, blah, blah. And they're going to be like, look, there's no cameras here, Donald Sterling, or whatever the dude from the Clippers name was.
Speaking of which, his wife filed for divorce from him today. Anyway.
Shocking. Yeah. Now that he's lost everything, now I want a fucking divorce. She was sticking by him there for a minute, though. But anyways, I doubt they're going to go, oh, yeah, okay, we totally agree with you, and you can go ahead and do this. And no, they're going to be like, fuck that. You're alienating a huge chunk of our fan base, and you're putting. I mean, if this is what he was doing and this was his mission statement to him, I doubt they would go along with it. So I don't know. It's just, to me, is he racist? I don't know. You never really know what's in someone's heart. Or is he just fucking maybe some sort of mad genius? Because Belichick kind of cleaned house, if you remember, Chris, when he took over in Cleveland. And he wasn't able to identify with his players like he does now in New England. But he's cleaned house in New England, too. I mean, he's made moves where people were scratching their head at first going, what the fuck? Now he can he could cut Brady, and that'd be the only thing that people would go, whoa, what are you doing? Everybody else on that team's expendable, and he's proved it. I mean, look, Gronk, I guarantee you 3-4 years, he won't be a fucking Patriot, and that's one of the top tight ends in the league, if not the top tight end. I mean, that's just... these moves, I don't know. Is there a racial bigotry behind him, or like I said, is it he thinks he's doing what's best for the team? I guess time will tell. I mean, to me, it's just like, if you want to call him a racist, just come out and call him a racist. Let's get rid of all the polite fucking double talk. I mean, it's the NFL, for fuck's sake. I mean, like I said, there's child beaters, wife beaters, people who have committed manslaughter, drug users, I mean, shit.
But has there been
Cowboys?
Has
Come
there
on,
been?
Just be honest, be real. I'm so sick of all this fake, forced bullshit we have to do.
Has there been any other allegations of racism towards him?
No, only from the guys who got cut. Like, that's another thing that kind of taints the whole thing.
Okay, wait, because all we've talked about is this one quote from Brandon Boykin. So there have been other guys who have claimed that he's racist.
Yeah, LaShawn McCoy, the quote I just read.
Another former player that was traded away, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm also looking at pictures from Eagles training camp. And a lot of black dudes, just saying. So, I mean, I don't know. It's like once again, like I think we're getting a little too, as a society, we're getting a little too free with the race card. Like, every time something doesn't go somebody's way and a person of a different race is involved, like, the race card is played. Like I said, the two dudes we mentioned, look at the seasons they had last year. They had shit seasons. You have a shitty season when you play pro sports. 9 times out of 10, you don't get to do a second season, or another season, I should say.
Yeah, and I mean, and there's also, look at just for shits and giggles, look at what just happened with the Tigers and Dombrowski. Dombrowski got shown the door after 14 years, and Al Avila is now the general manager. Well, technically, even though if you just heard Al Avila talk, you wouldn't know that he's of Latin descent. He doesn't have an accent. It's not like listening to Miguel Cabrera talk. But you have a quote-unquote minority now controlling one of the top 10 teams as far as worth and stature in the MLB at this moment. I'm surprised that hasn't been made a bigger deal about, because I mean, you got the Rooney Rule in football, to where if you fire your coach and you're going to hire a new coach, you have to interview a so-called minority for the job. That's an actual rule in the NFL. And there's always talk about there's not enough minorities at the top of the food chain in sports. Hey, yeah, we'll make money off your back, but we don't want you at the top of the food chain. Well, here you go. You have someone who's running one of the biggest sports teams in baseball, or biggest teams in baseball, and is a minority. But we don't hear about that. But we hear about
because it won't get the ratings. It won't get the ratings that's saying, well, Mike Ilitch hates Polish people. That's why he fired Dave Dombrowski.
Mike Ilitch buys Hamtramck, kicks out all the Polish people.
All right.
It sounds like an Onion article. But it's just like I said, there's so much focus on anything that's perceived as racism or undercover, or like the new type of racism versus hey, yeah, the old type of racism where a dude was like, hey, I don't like black people. You knew exactly where you stood with him. Now everything's covert, and it's just like, what, just people, if you got a preference, just fucking say it. Pretty sure David Duke is living comfortably, and he's made no qualms about he don't like black people. All right, I mean, just be fucking real. That way we know who the fuck you are, and we can avoid you like the fucking plague that you are. It's just so annoying to constantly play this. Well, what does he mean by this? What's he implying? It's like arguing with a woman you've been in a relationship with. She says something and you go, what are you implying? I didn't say that. I said this. Oh my God, I got to play this game now? And it's just ridiculous, man. You can't trade away people who had a bad year, as Chris said? Oh, okay. Well, I'm going to hold on to this guy because I don't want to be perceived as a racist. Or, okay, I got traded away. I had a shit year. I'm not going to accept that because I'm an egomaniac and I'm a fucking alpha male and I'm the best at everything. Just ask me, I'll tell you. And I must have been traded away for some other reason than I had a shit season. So there must be something else to it.
Well, you got to think that generation's now in the NFL. Everyone gets a trophy generation. I mean, gentlemen, let's face it. We're all knocking on the door of 40. The league's turned over 20 years from when we were eligible. Not that any of us ever were going to play.
I know, right?
But yeah, I mean, you think about it. You have the everybody gets a trophy generation now is well entrenched in professional sports. So I think you're going to get things like that every now and then.
I mean, I don't know. Chris, what's your honest opinion? Do you think Chip Kelly's doing this out of some sort of racial bigotry on his part?
I think Chip Kelly wants to win. I think the Eagles were supposed to do a lot better than they did last year, and they didn't.
Well, wasn't LeGarrette Blount on Oregon when he was coaching at
Sure
Oregon?
was.
All right. And I mean, Garrett Blunt took a swing at another fucking player, just sucker punched him, cold cocked him, and has been nothing but a problem child in the NFL to the point where he's bounced around between, I think, like 6-7 teams. And he didn't throw him off the team. Yeah, he suspended him, but what choice did he have? It was a nationally televised game, and he sucker punched someone with their helmet off. You can't do that. That's not, I mean, that's like when the University of Miami, the U, and South Florida, whatever that bullshit, middling school is, got into that brawl, and the dude took his helmet off and started whipping some dude's ass with it. You can't do that, man. Of course you got fucking suspended for the year. I'm sorry, go ahead, Chris.
You don't hear like white dudes in baseball going, well, they prefer Latinos, that's why I got cut. Or you don't hear white dudes in basketball, I got traded for a black guy, he obviously likes play. You don't hear that. It's sports is stats and performance based. It's like most jobs, really. You have a bad season, you go away. If Jim Caldwell loses fucking 16 games this year for the Lions, I think it's going to be like, well, no, he wouldn't, because Lions upper management is black. So I guess that would be a bad example.
I don't know. I've maybe owners, like especially the really old owners, maybe some of them would be like, they'd hold some prejudices, but man, I got to believe in the end that green is the only color that matters to them.
Yes, exactly. Look at Donald Sterling.
Yes, thank you. That's
how
the name
racist he was. But I mean, shit, not like the Clippers were full of white guys.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't know. To me, it's, and you listen to sports talk radio, and I understand that they have hours and hours to fill, and especially if you listen to the national stuff. I mean, they're grasping at anything to do with football, because that is America's addiction, is football. That's just all there is to it. I mean, every other sport they can give or take, but football you don't fuck with. Yeah, I know. See? It's like you're counting down to your next fucking, your next pack. You're like, oh yeah, one month, buddy.
Well, it's fucking over with the Tigers. It's the fire sale happened last week.
Yeah, well, they're still in it. Just listen to the new general manager, but whatever.
Mathematically, yes, but let's be real here. Anyway,
yeah, I gotcha. But
mathematically, the Lions are in it every year until like week 10. But we know how that goes.
I mean, gun to my head, do I think Chip Kelly's racist and he did this thing out of some racist shit? He might be racist, but I don't think he made trades because of that, because he knows that there's only, 30 positions for head coaches in the NFL in the entire world. That's a pretty small group, and if you get, no pun intended, blackballed because of some bullshit, that's it. Your coaching career is over. You take your ass to like Southern Florida. Mm-hmm. And I'm not talking about, the U. I'm talking about, some bullshit old, what we used to call 1AA football and shit, maybe Marshall if you're lucky.
Right. It is possible that both cases are true, that Chip is indeed racist and he still let this guy go because of his performance and not his race.
Exactly.
Just because he's racist doesn't mean that he's letting his personal opinions affect his business, although that does tend to be the case. Most people can't really separate those two things, especially when it comes to issues like race. But it is possible that he's uncomfortable around this guy because he's an old white dude hanging out with, 250-pound black dudes, young black dudes that are using all this slang that he doesn't know, and he has no idea what the fuck they're talking about half the time. It's totally reasonable that he might feel uncomfortable in that situation. Most old white guys do. That's why they're going to die and the world's going to be a better place.
Yeah, and I was listening to ESPN, and there's a commentator named Bomani Jones who's talking about it. He's like, when is a guy in his late 50s, early 60s-year-old white man in a situation where he's surrounded by primarily young black men? Those situations don't happen very often, and some people will be, just like you said. He goes, hey, who knows? He might be like, it's almost, you almost said verbatim what Jones said. He's like, he might be uncomfortable.
Right.
But
it doesn't mean you got fired for that reason.
Yeah, it doesn't mean you were traded for that reason. But
yeah, I keep saying fired, like you're not playing football anymore. We're talking about trading to another team where you're still making millions of dollars.
I know, right?
Wham!
Well,
racist.
McCoy went to Buffalo, right?
What's that?
Yeah, he went to Buffalo, and I mean that's horrible. I mean, now he has to listen to Rex Ryan, and he has to live in Buffalo during the winter.
If you're going to play the race card, you better bring a full deck.
hasn't really been addressed here is how do we know he wasn't an asshole in the locker room? Because a lot of guys will get traded for that too, because their attitude sucks in the locker room.
Yeah, and yeah, I mean, football is definitely one of those sports where if you're a bad locker room guy, unless you're top echelon rare air type guy, they're not going to put up with that, man. Especially if you are rare air and you start slipping, they're like, that's the excuse we were looking for. See ya.
Yeah, I'm all right on the field, but I kick ass in the locker room, yo.
Well, I mean, there are guys that are like that. They're like, those guys usually end up like doing stuff for the team locally. They were nice guys, but they just really weren't getting it done. And the team's like, we don't want to. You're not going to play for us no more, and most likely you won't play for anyone else. But we'll make you an analyst for the team on the after game show, blah blah blah, and stuff like that. So it does
it's like
happen.
Any job, if you're hard to work with, fucking see ya. You're not going to last long.
Yeah. I mean, most people aren't bulletproof in their job.
It is called a team, all right? It's not like you go out there every Sunday and you're throwing the ball to yourself and catching it. It's you have to be able to work well with others. Like maybe these two gentlemen did not work well with others combined with their shit seasons. Like, it's this is all wild and reckless speculation, I guess.
Well, yeah, but what can you do? Because unless you are on that team and in the locker room, you really don't know what's going on. And I think the difference between us having this conversation and admitting it's wild and reckless speculation and some of these talking heads for the 4-letter network or, Fox Sports or whatever, they state their opinion as if it's a fact. Well, we really don't know. Unless you work the beat and you cover the team on a day in, day out basis, you really don't have a feel for what's going on besides what you think is going on and what you maybe have heard, rumors or this and that. So, I mean, at least we right up admit we're full of shit. I mean, it's a little something in these times of people just, my opinion's a fact, and this is just deal with it,
Yeah, we're back to the internet mentality of, well, the loudest opinion is the right one. No, not really. But I mean, that's a new mentality of our society, I guess. He who is the loudest is the rightest.
Mm-hmm. Squeaky wheel gets the grease. It happens all the time. A vocal minority will fucking hold sway over a silent majority damn near every time anymore. Mm-hmm. So, but anyway, speaking of this race shit.
Yeah, Aaron.
Yeah?
You can participate now.
He held his own. I have to give him credit.
All right.
It's like me when you guys talk about comic books.
I know. When you throw in some shit, I'm like, oh, I'm so proud of you. If I had a gold star, I'd give it to you, buddy.
Thank you for listening, liking, and sharing Unregimented on Facebook and following Unregimented on Twitter at UnregimentedPod. If you like Unregimented, please tell a friend to visit ChristopherMedia.net. You can subscribe to Unregimented on iTunes for free just by clicking through the iTunes banner at ChristopherMedia.net. You can also show your support for Unregimented when you buy something on iTunes just by clicking through the iTunes banner at ChristopherMedia.net. It won't cost you anything extra, and it shows your support for Unregimented. While you're on iTunes, please remember to write a review and rate Unregimented 5 stars. Just click on the iTunes banner at ChristopherMedia.net. Android users can listen to Unregimented for free at ChristopherMedia.net by clicking on the Stitcher radio player on our homepage. You can also listen to Unregimented for free at TuneIn.com or by downloading their free TuneIn radio app. Don't forget, you can always listen to Unregimented for free across any platform just by going to ChristopherMedia.net. Make sure to check out all of the podcasts on ChristopherMedia.net. Mondays and Fridays, you have Unregimented. Reach us at UnregimentedPod on Twitter. Tuesdays and Fridays, you have the Weedsman Podcast. Find those guys at the Weedsman420 on Twitter. Wednesday, you have the Projection Booth, projection-booth.com, or at Pro Boothcast on Twitter. Saturday, you have the Captain's Table at Captain's Podcast on Twitter. You can also check out one of our new shows, well, new to us. It's the Ugly Club Podcast. It's another movie podcast, but these guys go with more of a theme each week rather than just one movie. You can check them out at Ugly Club Podcast on Twitter or uglyclubpodcast.com. If you like Unregimented and want to show your support for Unregimented, you can donate to Christopher Media by clicking through the PayPal button at ChristopherMedia.net. If you use Amazon.com, please click through the Amazon banner at ChristopherMedia.net and bookmark the link. It won't cost you anything extra, and when you buy something, you will show your support for Unregimented. If you're looking to launch your own website, please click through the HostGator banner at ChristopherMedia.net. That's who we use to host Unregimented. When you sign up for HostGator by clicking through the banner at ChristopherMedia.net, you are helping to support Unregimented.
What about this guy in Nashville? What's up with the movie theaters? Why is this the place that that people have to fear for their lives now.
Tennessee? Have you been to Tennessee? There's not much more to do than kill people.
Yeah, well,
it's horrible, man. I mean, well, Nashville, there's a
lot to do in Nashville.
I don't know. Chattanooga, though? Oh, man, there ain't shit to do in Chattanooga. I'm going to go shoot up a movie theater. That sounds like a good idea.
But yeah, a gunman goes in with an axe.
Like I said, he must be a fucking juggalo.
But he pepper sprayed the whole theater first. Like he let loose a crowd of pepper spray a cloud, of pepper spray in the theater.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm picturing in his mind, he's thinking he's going to pepper spray with a fogger, like one of those ones that'll clear a room with just, holding it down for 2 seconds. Start shooting people and walk up with his axe and just chopping them up to make sure they're dead.
He didn't shoot anybody.
Well, no. In his mind, that was the plan. That's how I'm picturing what's going on in his head, and it did not work out that way at all whatsoever.
Nope, he's the only guy that got shot by the police.
So you're saying like he axed, because one guy got an axe wound, and not the kind that you want to get. And
there's an axe wound you want to get?
A hatchet wound? Yeah, buddy. You don't know about the hatchet wound with the ham wallet? Come on, man.
Oh. Johnny euphemisms. Okay.
Yeah.
Here we go.
And so he hatchets the one guy and is immediately like, oh, fuck, I was supposed to start shooting people first.
Sure. Who knows?
I mean, you plant... Yeah. What's the saying? There's a saying there that I was going to say, but I can't remember it.
Yeah, you know the old saying of, I don't know.
Yeah. Something about plans. They always go bad.
Oh, best laid plans or something have the
Mice and Men.
best intentions or something like that.
No, it wasn't that one.
Yeah.
Moving on.
I cannot say I'm not shocked. And the minute I hear about some type of attempted or successful shooting like this, I just go, okay, what redneck white boy got pissed off about something? Like, that's traditional white guy crime at this point.
Is that racist of us? Automatically,
even if his
gentleman is white.
Well, then fuck it. So be it. I'm racist against my own kind. But if his name was Latron Jackson, I'd be like, he's still a white boy. He's just a white boy with some flavor. That's all there is to it. I guarantee this shit.
No, we
Show me the picture.
We know that the guy was white because the story on CNN made no mention of the man's race.
Oh, of course not, because,
it would have been mentioned if he was any other race than white. It would have been black man with an axe.
And oh god,
there you go. The axe thing gives it away, though. That's what really. They don't have to put the race in there. Somebody goes into a theater with an axe, white. There's no other race that's taken an axe in there
or a juggalo
for any reason.
And Rich, to be fair, there could be white gentlemen in the South
Juggalos
named
their own
Latron
race.
Jackson.
I know, right? I just, man.
Well, thankfully, he was the only guy who got shot. He did shoot at a cop, and then they eventually took the guy out.
Was there a movie in like the last 5 or 10 years where somebody like went into a movie theater and shot it up? Are these like copycat people, or is this just like
They are currently sentencing the guy who shot up the theater at the Batman movie.
But I'm saying, has there been a movie that has come out in the last few years where like this was perpetrated in the movie and now people are copying this?
Oh, are they copying something that happened, like a meta movie where somebody dies in a movie theater?
Yeah, was it in some kind of widely released popular movie in the last few years where some wacko goes in the movie theater and starts shooting people and now,
Maybe there's some Marilyn Manson lyrics about it, though, that you could find.
That's so 20 years ago, Aaron.
He's got his lunchbox and he's armed real well.
I mean, no.
You can blame Eminem, but that's 10 years ago.
Not that I'm aware of, but
15. Sir.
Oh,
yeah. No, I haven't heard anything about it either. I don't know. This shit is, I'm with Chris, but then my friends who are members in good standing of the tinfoil hat community are like, this is just a bunch of scare tactics, like false flag type shit to snatch our guns. And I'm like,
I'm all for people having guns, but it's the last month and a half. It's a little bit out of hand here.
See, and that's the thing. Like people that support gun ownership but aren't gun fanatics, those are the people they're trying to sway, because you sway the people in the middle and all of a sudden you got you can get shit going one way or the other. Right. So in that aspect, my tinfoil hat wearing friends, I'm like, I kind of see what you're saying, but at the same time, I just don't buy that the government's like, we're going to have some false flag operations and they're going to go shoot up movie theaters and blah, 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 and then we're going to take your guns from you.
A lot of tinfoil hat people are making wild assumptions about the competency of our government.
Yeah, that's where these theories always fall apart.
Yeah, Aaron, we're on the same page with and I think Rich, we're all on the same page with the government. The government is not as smart as people like to give them credit for.
Right.
Oh, no, not at all.
Just very incompetent as far as I'm concerned. Like, half of these conspiracy theories, it's like, really? You really think a system where it takes you like 6 months to get a loan, all the bureaucratic you think these people came up with this? And, like people say 9/11 was an inside job. Really? Like, granted, there was things that were ignored, but really, you think our government, the government that shuts down every couple years because they run out of money, is competent and able to put things like this together?
See, but this is where, hey, I don't make a tinfoil hat. I mean, make a tinfoil yarmulke or a tinfoil sun visor. But I'm like, I don't put it past our government to go, why don't we just sit here and see what happens? Because then we have an excuse to perpetuate or to start a war that's just perpetual, like the Cold War was, until that came to an end. Now we're just fighting terrorism. We're fighting an idea. And it gives us an excuse to keep just being beholden to the military-industrial complex. I mean, just standing by and letting it happen, I can see that happening. Putting things into motion to make it happen, yes, some shit would have fallen apart on the way, Right. I mean, I can't, especially, well, I just don't first think of all, I don't think, see, that's the thing, though, man. You got to look who was in power when that shit happened. I mean, you had Rumsfeld, you had Cheney. I mean, you had people who were competent. Bush, don't judge his whole fucking administration just by him.
And what you're describing, Rich, isn't really competency. It's about being opportunistic.
Yeah, let it happen.
Well, here's yes, were things ignored? Yes, but I'm talking about the people who say it was their fault. Like, let's get pragmatic about it. All right, that administration was in power for 9 months at the time. You think all that was planned, executed, and carried out in 9 months? Absolutely not. That shit started being planned under Billy Jeff.
No, but what was planned was the idea of a war in the Middle East and an invasion of Iraq.
Well, yeah, that was
thought about in advance, and they were opportunistic in the way that, regardless of whether the government had any hand in the events of 9/11, they sure jumped on the opportunity to do what it was they wanted to do.
Well, yeah, it was an excuse. It was an excuse to push their agenda, but to just think that they actually planned it and carried it out, like, that's just insane. Like, let alone from the time factor, but just thinking that they could actually do it.
Have some faith for our ability as a nation to piss off other countries. Because that's a lot of what we're talking about here.
Well, yeah, definitely.
That's a fair point. Can't argue that one.
Definitely. We there's a comedian who had a skit, like, everybody in the world knows who's president of the United States. Everybody. And, as far as other countries. Now, we'll go to another country, and they'll be like, do you know who our president is? And, your average American will be like, no. And they'll be like, well, our president, they'll be like, I don't want to hear that shit. I don't care. Fuck that. That's kind of why we're hated, like, around the world, right? Because we're arrogant.
Once you get up to, like, the last few months of the election, the presidential election, the most even-handed news organization to go to is the BBC.
Yep.
Because they follow it and they're very pragmatic about it. Whereas it seems like everything else that you read, you can infer the writer's opinion or the paper's opinion or the website's opinion. They might have some neutral story about. Well, like, look at.
You're talking about the news organization that made up Syrian gas attacks.
Unless it was Fox.
No, we talked about it. It was with Jay, a couple weeks ago. The BBC got caught making up shit, like altering the news footage of the Syrian napalm attacks.
Right. Yeah, I'm talking about that organization.
Just checking. Ha.
Not everybody's perfect.
No, I'm to the point. I'm to the point. I've just completely unplugged from the news and culture because I want to live to be old.
Yeah, that's kind of. As sad as it is to say, that's kind of where I'm at right now. I can't.
My blood pressure will not abide many more morons.
Yeah. I just can't deal with it, and I have a few different things I watch, and I get, they're more, infotainment, I guess, as far as, Daily Show or Bill Maher or, shit like that. But I can't keep up. I can't keep using politics and world events as entertainment because I feel like I'm being told to choose a side, choose a team, and root for that team no matter what. Mm-hmm. And it's like that's what sports is. That's what sports is. This is shit that in theory affects our daily lives and affects lives of of billions of people around the world, and we're treating it like, rah rah, go team. And I can't do it anymore. It's just, I'm like, this is bullshit, and I don't know any other way to deal with it besides, like you said, Chris, just to go and unplug and just go, I'm done. I mean, I've literally I can't handle certain people on social media that I'm friends with. You can put us in a room, we'll have a good time, there will be no arguments. They get on social media, and I don't block them, but I just make sure that I don't see their nonsense, because it's like, how can you walk around this pissed off about a subject that you're gonna in 3 weeks you're not gonna care about anymore? You're gonna move on to the next subject that Fox News or CNN or MSNBC told you to move on to, and you're this passionate about it, but really, are you? The whole thing with Planned Parenthood that's going on now. Oh my God, has that started a shitstorm on my social media news feed, and I'm just like, I don't care. I don't care. Here, look, you don't like abortion? Then you know what?
Then don't get an abortion.
1, don't get an abortion. 2, stop having your own kids and go adopt some fucking unwanted children. If you're for abortion, well, guess what? You can go have one. Congratulations, you've won. What are you arguing for?
It's reminiscent of Bill Hicks' take on flag burning. Where they said no, they didn't say you can burn a flag. They're saying if perhaps you choose to burn a flag, that you don't need to go to prison.
Exactly.
They're not telling you have to burn a flag. They're saying, they're not saying you have to get an abortion. They're saying perhaps if you choose to get an abortion, you should be allowed to.
Yeah, and oh, God. I mean, we have undercover video of them pulling apart an aborted fetus and selling, limbs and stuff for scientific research and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, oh, my God, yeah. And you people claim to love these fetuses until they're born, and then you don't give a shit no more.
Yeah, well, I'm sure there's also video of our armed forces killing innocent children that we've never seen.
Well, wait a minute.
Nobody talks clarify about that kind of shit.
I can clarify all this Planned Parenthood shit, but quick aside, where the fuck are we going with this? How are we going to... I thought this was supposed to be a topical show.
It is, isn't it? Planned Parenthood, that shit is all over the news.
You guys are going on like a rant about how you're unplugging and not even paying attention to what's going on.
That's what I'm saying. I don't know the okay, how do I put this? I know the peripheral and the surface shit about this, because no matter where I go, people are told you have to have an opinion about this now. It's just like anything else. You have to have an opinion. Well,
that's what this show is opinion.
No. I'm talking about people who don't even...
I'm talking about the show that we're recording right now.
No,
we've got an opinion-based show, and you guys are like, I'm unplugging. Well, how can you have an opinion about anything?
What do we talk about? Ever just had overload on a subject, and you're just like, I can't do it anymore. Nothing's getting done at this point. Two cars are just sitting there nose to nose with their pedal to the fucking metal in each one of them, and no one's giving an inch, no one's taking an inch. It's just burning rubber at this point till they blow out their fucking tires. And that's what it feels like. That's what it feels like. In a lot of these news stories, it's like, well, how do you feel about this? I don't know how I fucking feel about this. Does it affect me? Is it a daily thing that I need to have an opinion about? I don't know. When's the last time I even wanted an abortion? Never. So.
Oh, well, okay. So the issue is really not abortion with the Planned Parenthood thing. The videos that they're talking about, they recorded conversations with people who worked for Planned Parenthood and who do perform abortions, and sometimes when they do, they save certain tissues for research purposes.
Okay, people will be like, "Oh, it's horrible." Well, what are you supposed to do with it? Throw it in a dumpster out back? I just
tell that to the person whose terminal disease they found a cure for because of this research.
But
they're all for it.
Well, the other thing here, though, is the fact that they are reimbursed for certain expenses in recovering and transporting this tissue, and so. The big story, the headline that this organization is going for, I forget the name of them, we talked about a couple of weeks ago. They're going for some sort of headline that says Planned Parenthood sells body parts for money, which is just not true. Now, peripherally, this is about abortion because ultimately, if you were to infer what the prime motivation for this organization and all the Republicans that are calling for the defunding now of Planned Parenthood, even though it doesn't look like that's actually going to happen, their prime motivation is less abortion, right? And that's even though Planned Parenthood does a lot of different shit. That's the only issue that the government's concerned about when it comes to whether we're going to fund this organization or not with taxpayer money, is the fact that they perform abortions. Mm-hmm. So it is peripherally about that, but they're not really going head on with the issue of abortion, because it is, well, much like the situation that you described, Rich, of two cars just driving full on into each other and never moving the line anywhere. So they figure out these back end ways to get these inflammatory statements that will really, I mean, you're talking about something that could grow into a life, and ripping it apart and studying it. Yes, that should strike an emotion in the average person. I mean, a doctor who deals with that on maybe a daily or weekly basis as part of, I mean, you can't go in there as a doctor and say, I got to get myself together and perform this abortion, and have your hands fucking shaking and you're all, I can't do this shit. You've got to be professional. And so, yeah, you distance yourself from it.
Exactly. And that's the type of news story about this subject that I would actually sit down and read or watch. Okay, let me hear from a wide sample of doctors who perform abortions and how they deal with it.
Right.
Because I've heard everybody else's opinion, and nothing's changing from their opinion. Let's hear about the people who are there. It's like when people argue about, something that they've never done. Well, why don't we talk to the people who've actually are doing this job and to see where they're coming from? How do you, I'm sure the people who are anti-abortion would go, how do you justify and rationalize what you do? And I'm sure the other, people who are pro-choice would go, well, how does this affect you? Or does it affect you? Or do you look at it as you're doing, as fucked up as this may sound to some people, a public service? Because instead of squirting out another unwanted child into this world, you're actually, keeping population down. But I mean,
or the other argument is, how does taking an abortion doctor's life, validate your argument? A life has still been lost. Just because it's out of the womb now, it has no value to you.
Right, but they're trying to paint.
I have family who are very anti-abortion. They're pro-life. Okay, whatever. But they're also very Christian, and they believe we're all born into original sin. Well, then that's not an innocent child in there. That child's born a sinner. So you're telling me you have to pass through the vaginal canalway, and then all of a sudden you're magically graced with original sin?
Well, actually,
you're a sinner?
Yeah, I know. But it's one less sinner. You should be happy.
Exactly. That child's going straight to heaven. It never come out of her vagina, so it didn't have a chance to be a sinner. Okay, well, if we want to get technical, what about cesarean sections?
Actually, Rich, according to the dogma, it's going to limbo because it has not been baptized.
Right.
Oh, yeah, I forgot.
Yeah, remember, I was force-fed the Kool-Aid for a good decade plus.
Well, also, I mean, the extremists on this issue will say that life begins at conception, right?
There's people that
once the sperm and egg meet, game over. You're starting the process. DNA starts to split up and pair together, and that's it. You're on your way to becoming a human. So I don't know. Why aren't they? What about all the fertilized eggs that don't actually stick to the wall? There's a term for it. There's a medical term, but they actually have to implant. They have to stick to the wall and have a place. Otherwise, they're just going to get flushed out.
Yeah, and every time a woman have a period, is she a baby killer?
Right, right.
You just all those lives just went into a tampon and down the toilet. You baby killer. I mean, if we're going to use the rationale of their argument,
It's and once again, Bill Hicks said, I've wiped entire civilizations off my chest with a used fucking, or a dirty fucking gym sock. So,
or how about this stat for you? 56 million people die each year, but almost twice of that are born. Now, this does tend to be not so much in America. This is, for some reason, third world countries just can't stop fucking.
Cheapest form of entertainment.
Right?
If you're poor, what can you do? Well, hey, I'm bored and I'm poor. What about you?
I don't know.
Me too. Let's fuck.
I don't know why, but I was looking this up earlier today at work and looking at life and death statistics worldwide. And yeah, it's in like America, in most of Europe, it's pretty much flat. Population grows, but not really at that extreme of a rate. It's everywhere else that the population is increasing, but still worldwide, the population's increasing. So,
and see, that's where, to get back to the question you had, I guess this is the answer, and I was putting it poorly. This is the type of story revolving around this subject that is never talked about for the most part. And this type of story that around this subject that I'm more interested in hearing about. Let's get some cold hard facts on, can this planet sustain the life on it with the population growth we have worldwide? Yes, no, or best guess, whatever. I mean, that's
but
that's
when
what
you
I'm
start
saying.
working back from there, where do you end up? You end up in China, where you have controlled population. Mm-hmm. I mean, is that the answer? We might actually get to the point where in worldwide where it's not whether that's the answer or not. We just don't have a choice unless we have a new planet to populate. But
yeah, and that's not happening anytime soon.
But when you try and set policy on individuals based on what you're describing, based on global statistics, I don't know. I understand where you're coming from, but I don't know if that ends up in a place where you have good policy dictating what an individual or two people or a family can do.
Well, I mean, it is a very, once again, slippery slope and gray area.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's the thing. We don't even address these subjects. We dance around them and we put up these,
Right.
Okay, so we have video of business people in a business acting like business people. Shocking. That business people who are all about profit are trying to make money off of what they do.
Who?
I'm sorry. That's like, it's, to me, it's no more, the video of Planned Parenthood going, well, we can bill these people as medical transport.
No. Oh, wait, no.
Aborted
Okay, you're
fetuses
talking about
or whatever
Planned
they're
Parenthood.
doing. It's no different than fucking McDonald's going,
No,
how can
stop. Yes, it is. Wrong.
Why? Because it's a human?
No, because they're recouping travel expenses. They're not selling these things. They're not making a profit. It's not a profit-motivated business being in Planned Parenthood. The whole idea of Planned Parenthood is really to keep our tax money from going to things like healthcare and welfare and hospitalization visits to people who are born into shitty situations because they don't have access or education to birth control or whatever it may, or abortions if that's what's needed. And that's the whole end game here. And there's no profit.
I understand what you're saying.
There's sure the people who work for Planned Parenthood, they aren't donating their time. They get paid like any other employee, but there's no profit being made off of the tissue sale. I shouldn't even say sale because it's a donation. The tissue donation.
Okay, I get what you're saying. I misspoke. What I'm getting at is that, okay, so these are people who are trying basically to keep the business that they're in going, okay? Shocking. Why are
you're
people
coming at it from a
horrified
business
by this?
aspect.
Really? I mean,
Because our society now looks for reasons to be offended. Like, that's the short answer.
It really is. I mean, because the only thing I can say is I've had one dealing with Planned Parenthood. It was my daughter's mother and myself. We went in. She got a pregnancy test. Yes, you are pregnant. We'd done the home pregnancy test. We wanted to get it confirmed. And they said, okay, gave us a few minutes. We talked. The person came in, whoever she was, I can't remember her title. And she was like, okay, so have you guys, if now that it's been confirmed, have you had any, talk or any idea about, what you want to do? And we both were like, yeah, we're either going to keep the kid or it's going to be an adoption. Never once did they go, have you thought about abortion? We didn't bring it up. It wasn't brought up to us. That's why I said when I get the feeling that people who are pro-life want to put it as you go in there and they're like, hey, you need an abortion? Let's get you right in the stirrups right now. We got the vacuum warmed up, ready to go.
We got the Dyson.
Yeah, that's not how that shit worked. I mean, I don't know. I've had one dealing with them, and it was nothing like what has been painted out to be.
But I don't think this is necessarily people looking to be offended by something, because the whole base concept of this should be offensive to you. Instinctually, it is offensive. It's the inability to put on the higher brain, put on the thinking cap and go, yes, this is horrible, but this is what we've all agreed to as acceptable, and this is a medical procedure, and we're not even considering this to be a life. This is more about the focus here, really, for people who are, it's not about being pro-choice, it's about being pro-individual rights. Regardless of at what stage do you think this thing inside this woman is going to grow into a person, there's a certain point up to which she still has a choice in what's going on.
Yeah, no, I'll stop you when I disagree with you.
Yeah, I know, right?
But I mean, the idea of like watching videos of doctors talking nonchalantly about cutting above and below the torso of a fetus in order to preserve the organ so that they can be removed and sent off to a research lab. Yeah, I mean, that makes you feel ill. Picturing it in your head. It's the same thing. You see the anti-abortion people holding up signs of aborted fetuses. That's offensive. Doesn't mean that just because I'm offended by that and I find that image horrific, that makes me now pro-life. It's just a horrible image, and it should strike something in you. It should offend you. It should be disgusting to you.
Maybe that's...
But you're still hopefully a capable enough person to say, well, yeah, that's horrible, but that's not a real life. And that was the choice of the mother.
Enough person, because to me it's like, you know what? Sorry, you have no idea what hell that kid's life might have been heading for.
Right.
And
yeah, exactly. What if this kid was going to be born into poverty, never get out of poverty, just ends up another statistic, another person in the system? What if these people that had this abortion, they try again in another 5 years when they're actually capable and ready to have children, and then the child actually has a decent life? I mean, and
to me, it's like, okay, you want less abortion, then we're going to have to get real. And since it seems to be the word of the show today, pragmatic about teaching our children at a young age the cold, hard, almost clinical facts of birth control, and not this bullshit of, well, sex is only for procreation, and I don't want my child learning about birth control because that's giving them a license to go out and have sex. No, that's you're keeping your child ignorant. Your child's going to go out there and, oh, you can't get pregnant the first time. If you jump up and down after he nuts in you, you won't get pregnant. Whatever the fuck bullshit, the kids will come up with, tell each other just to get a nut off. And then the next thing you know, oh, well, little, princess is pregnant and she's 15. Well, gee, how'd that happen? Maybe if you'd have fucking put her on some birth control and explained to her that, yeah, look, you don't want a kid at this young age, guess what? You're going to have to be responsible for that. And little Jimmy, you don't want to be a father at this young age, you're going to have to be responsible on your end. But we don't. We have a bunch of bullshit, and it's all based off of, well, we don't want kids having sex because it's against this and against...
It's amazing how much we'll forego education just to stick with our dogmas.
Right, and we don't want people to die in car accidents on the freeway, but we all still get on the fucking freeway.
Mm-hmm.
Look.
And where are these pro-life people when, we purposely poison people with radiation to kill cancer? We're you going to be consistent with your message here, or, it's...
That's why I have one family member, it's a cousin, she's a cousin, and her and her husband...
Anti-dermabrasion people?
Her and her cousin put their mouth where their money is when it comes to this subject. They've adopted, when I say like older children, I'm talking kids are sometimes 9, 10 years old, come from shitty environments, wards of the state, behavior problems, just the wide array, and they take care of them and they raise them. Hey, you know what? They're pro-life. Congratulations. You actually walk the talk. But there's a lot of people out there, the majority who are pro-life, who would never dream in a million years of doing what you do. And on top of it, they want to keep their kids ignorant of a way to not be in a situation where they're 15, 16, 17, and let's be honest, 18, 19, 20 in college looking at, well, I'm going to have a kid and that's going to fuck up my plans.
Yeah, okay.
Well, you should have taught him to swallow. What the fuck you want me to tell you?
But wait a minute. Not to distract from the adoption thing, which is noble, but that doesn't give them the right to be pro-life, because in my mind, pro-life means that it's not just for their own personal choice. Nobody should have that choice. To be pro-life is to say, I can't get an abortion and you can't get an abortion. I'm going to tell you what to do with your body.
Yeah, I know, and what's kind of ironic is they want a federal law passed and they're all about states' rights. I got you. I mean, they're walking contradictions, but when it comes down to it, I have a little bit more respect for them than the person standing on the corner on a Saturday afternoon holding a placard talking about murderer, look what you're doing, and all this shit, and then they go home and they're like, fucking, I ain't taking care of that kid. They'll step over 3 homeless kids, teenagers, to get back in their fucking mansion. Get the fuck out of my face. It's ridiculous.
And whatever happened to having a kid when you were ready? Now, I'm not saying mentally ready, because I've heard all the whole cliche, like, oh, you're never ready, just have the kid. I'm talking about financially ready, life ready. It's like I was in a situation like with an ex-girlfriend a few years ago, and she's like, let's have a baby. And I went, you are insane. I live with my bass player. I'm making a cool 35 grand a year. You work at Chipotle. You have a part-time job. Your parents have to pay half of your bills. Yeah, that's the greatest idea ever.
Right.
Well, needless to say, we broke up shortly after that.
Right.
But
It's something to do,
I was just looking at it like, no, that is a horrible idea right now. We are not in the place to have a child right now. You are insane.
This was pre the new golden age of television. There was less to do at the times. A kid seemed reasonable to keep your mind occupied.
Yeah, 6 years ago.
Yeah, you didn't know how good Breaking Bad was going to get. So you were like, fuck it, man. First episode, he's in his underwear in an RV cooking meth. It might go downhill from here. Let's have a kid.
Guys, I thought this was going to be a lighter episode. We started out talking about sports. Of course, we went right into racism and abortion. And now we got to wrap it up.
It's a show for grandma.
I know, right? This is not going to be like, so give me an episode, check out. Not 117 if you're uninitiated. That's for damn sure.
Right.
Yeah, I know, right?
Well, yeah, come back for 118. Promise it'll be lighter fare.
Yes, and Jay will be joining us.
Yeah, buddy. We'll have the quad back again.
Yeah, Voltron will be fully formed. All right. Well, thanks for listening, guys. Sorry you brought down the party. Well, no, we're not sorry. We're never sorry, are we?
No, not really.
Sorry, I'm not sorry.
Yeah, sorry. Sorry, not sorry. Isn't that the new term?
Sure.
All right. Well, we'll catch you guys on Monday. Thanks for listening.
All right, later, guys.
Bye.
If you enjoy this show and want more people to know about it, head on over to iTunes, leave a comment, and rate it 5 stars. Make sure you like and share us on Facebook, and don't forget to follow us on Twitter. Just search for Christopher Media. Thank you in advance for supporting Christopher Media by clicking on the PayPal button and by clicking through to all the sponsors who support ChristopherMedia.net. Most importantly, we would like to take the time to extend an extra special thanks to you. Christopher Media could not exist without your support. Thank you for visiting ChristopherMedia.net, and thank you for listening. Christopher Media. Let's make some noise. Thank you for visiting ChristopherMedia.net.
If you're looking for COVID-19 testing, look into Quest, the lab that's processed over 25 million tests and counting. You can get the same test hospitals use without a doctor visit. Simply order online, select from drive-through or at-home options, and get results sent securely to your phone or computer. It's experience and accuracy you can trust from Quest, the largest medical testing lab in the country. So order today at questcovid19.com. That's questcovid19.com.
This weekend, get to Kohl's and take an extra 15% off. Save on tech gear for the family, now just $15.29 and under. The Ninja Foodie Indoor Grill is $279.99. And find denim everyone in the family will love for $18.69 and under. Plus, get a little more for your wallet with Kohl's Cash. Plus, fast and free store pickup. Shop Kohl's and Kohl's.com. Select styles, 15% offer valid January